AccessBank representing private sector, and Ekvita as well representing the private sector. So,
thank you, Nigar. This is an honor for me to be here among these distinguished guests. I guess I will also be just telling a little bit about ourselves. We are a consulting company advising government and international financial institutions and other international donors on different policy issues, but increasingly so we're doing this on SME policy, SME matters. And also increasingly I find myself taking up this self-imposed role of acting as the voice of SMEs, because we also have a lot of SMEs as our direct clients. So we see their issues firsthand, and I'm hoping I'm speaking on their behalf and trying to find solutions to their problems. But I'll follow the trend. I will speak about the positive things first, and then we can switch to some of the challenges. Let's not call them problems. I think we should give a credit to the government that almost immediately in the aftermath of decline in commodity prices, the government instituted some reforms. I want to emphasize the industrial parks, even though they are not specifically focused on SMEs. Of course, their residents are large enterprises requiring significant investments, but I think industrial parks laid the foundation for further reforms, because they basically demonstrated that you can do decisive steps and see the results and see the impact of those steps. But also, I think they also enabled the government and the residents to build this trustworthy relationship that the incentives will be effective if you follow the rules. Of course, the adoption of strategic roadmaps was a huge step in identifying the key sectors of the economy, in pointing out that we are moving towards diversification, and I think the uniqueness of that strategy was that the government for the first time announced its long-term vision and set very specific and challenging KPIs for implementing institutions, and also set up a permanent body to monitor those KPIs. And I think that's quite critical when we started seeing this even tension sometimes between the monitoring body and the implementing institutions when deliverables are not met. The creation of SME Development Agency was already mentioned by Mr. Alishov. I think as an offspring of strategic roadmaps also, it brought the SMEs to the front line of the economy. It conveyed the message that SMEs are going to be the focus in our efforts to diversify the economy. I think the institution is still young, so the results of its work are yet to be seen, but they have already instituted some fundamental reforms. The key among them is tax incentives for SME clusters, the establishment of SME houses, which will operate as one-stop shops and will also act as business incubation centers for startups. So I think their activities are yet to be seen. I want to commend the work of Abad agency in particular. I think in terms of scale, they are very small, of course, we understand, but they are critical in developing the entrepreneurship culture, especially in rural areas, because the lack of this culture is one of the key challenges. We can call it a Soviet legacy when we didn't have the entrepreneurship mindset. We can call it anything else, but I think Abad is helping families in rural areas to transform their mindsets, to help them understand that need-based entrepreneurship can also become a successful business. And I think they're doing a very critical role in doing that. Again, albeit on a small scale, but the results, the impact is quite significant. Mr. Alishov already mentioned the establishment of a credit guarantee fund to subsidize the interests for SMEs to act as additional security, but also the state collateral registry of mobile assets. Again, the SMEs, especially those in rural areas, they don't have high value properties, assets to pledge. So for them, having a movable asset as a potential collateral increases their chances of financing. So this is definitely a positive step. We only hope that they will continue delivering what is expected of them, and they will not turn into any bureaucratic institutions. So that's the real hope of the SMEs. I think we should mention tax reforms of 2018 because they helped to convey a message to incentivize the companies, again, especially SMEs, to step outside the shadow economy, to declare their costs openly because the tax rates, there's a huge incentive for them to do so. And again, that increases the corporate governance. Hopefully, it increases the chances of getting finance from the banking institutions. Lately, we have seen the establishment of what I think is a permanent committee on improving business climate and international rankings. They have just been established, but in the short time span, they managed to do significant things. They are doing massive reforms, and it works again as a platform for private-public dialogue. Works quite efficiently, is very influential. They hear the messages, the voices of the SMEs, and they actually go ahead and implement the reforms. I think we should also mention the reforms in the judiciary. Again, yet to be seen, but they have been declared. The law on mediation has already been passed. They will become more or less, they will come mainstream next year, but I think the message is there that these are going to be improved. So what are the challenges? Again, I think we are just repeating those for many years now, most of them. Alternative financing methodologies, alternative financing instruments, again, also raised in the strategic roadmaps. We are seeing weaknesses in the financial leasing industry. Even some players are about to leave or already left the market, despite the seemingly, promising prospects. Not clear what's going on there. Factoring as a form of financing, again, some banks are very active. They even do aggressive marketing. But I think overall, the share of factoring in the overall lending still remains very, very low.